Welcome to Creators with Influence, a podcast by the American Influencer Council on the intersection between the creator economy and digital culture.
Thank you all for the energy of those questions, and thank you to Kendall and Eliza for that great chat. I feel like we're probably going to have so many more awesome questions, great conversations. Just as a reminder, my name is Patrick Janelle. I am the chairman of the board of directors for the American Influencer Council. As a trade organization, we champion entrepreneurship and education, and generally career creators, the many ways that career creators who are small businesses can drive economic value. And I'm excited to be with my three guests this evening. This is the Creators with Influence Global Social Media Day panel on how to diversify your income and growing your creator brand. And I know that this dynamic group here is going to have a lot to say about how you've turned your own brands into products and services, experiences even, and how you're both generating more incremental income and expanding your brand. So I'm excited to hear more from you about that. I want to thank our friends here at Soho Werk's 55 Water. I know Monique's over there and her crew. Thank you all so much for hosting us and for providing us with this platform to have these thought-provoking conversations together. And thank you to all of you here who have come out this evening to join us. We really appreciate it. So I'd love to just get started by having our speakers introduce themselves. And Tiffany, I'll go ahead and hand it over to you.
Sounds good. I am Tiffany M. Battle. I am a chemical engineer turned content creator. I started my blog. It's called The Workplace in 2012. So I'm celebrating 10 years of my, being in this space. I like to inspire my audience to have a authentic, colorfully textured life. And I do that through style, beauty, travel, and lifestyle content. And I like to say that fashion is like a gateway drug, because I like for people to color outside of the lines and to try things that are maybe something that they haven't done before. And that kind of spills over into other aspects of life, right? You become risk takers in the relationships that you have, and not in a bad way, in a positive way, right? And then in the opportunities you take on, and all of a sudden your life can be completely different than, playing it safe and, being a wallflower. So it's just, that's kind of the mantras that I have, is just to live boldly, color outside of the lines.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Aisha Beau Frisbey. I'm a digital content creator and speaker. I create content primarily focused on lifestyle, beauty, travel, and wellness. And I've been blogging now since 2015, but I've been a full-time content creator for the past 4 years. And since then, I've contributed to a number of different outlets about personal development. I also have a podcast on self-love. I have a YouTube channel. I'm in the process of launching my very first product, and from there, creating my own wellness-based marketplace of products. And I'm really excited for today's conversation.
Great, thank you. Blair.
Hi, my name is Blair Breitenstein. I am the director of an arts committee at the AIC, and I'm really excited that this is our 2-year anniversary. So I'm really proud of everyone that's a part of that's here tonight. I am also a fashion illustrator. I've been a professional artist for 7 years. I have contributed artwork to Vogue magazine. I've had partnerships with MAC and Alice and Olivia, and I've done packaging. So a bunch of different types of projects there. And then in November, I launched my first NFT collection, which is sold out, and I'm really excited about the space. Had a great time at NFT NYC last week. So that's kind of what I've done recently to diversify my income and work. It's just a whole new audience for me, and I am excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, well, I'd love to talk a little bit more about this NFT collection. I mean, I think obviously this is so on the minds and lips of everybody, and probably many of us are curious, need to know more. I'm sure we won't even have time to get all the info that we need, but let's talk a little bit about this. So you launched your collection in November of 2021. It's called 1989 Sisters, which is you and your twin sister, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
And you, you sold it out.
So I launched in November.
Okay.
And it is 1,989 unique avatars. And actually, it took, which we will talk about later, but it took 2 months to sell out.
Okay.
And I guess one thing to note is that I was a artist that drew everything by hand. So navigating a space that appeared to be very tech forward was really intimidating.
Yeah, totally. So what did you do? Like, I'm assuming you didn't, or I actually don't know how much you knew about this space. What did you do to do this strategically, going from being an illustrator who works with handmade things into a tech space? What did you do logistically, strategically to like approach this properly?
Yeah, so one thing I actually thought about that Kendall touched on was kind of putting money back into, you have to like spend money to make money. So one thing I did was hire a developer. And I think that you definitely don't need to hire a developer to be in the NFT space, but I don't know a lot about the back end of the NFT space. So I found a friend of a friend that was willing to work with me on the project. And one thing I would suggest to anyone that's looking for a developer is that since the space is so new, it's a great opportunity for developers to also kind of learn and build out their resume. So working with someone that has never worked in the NFT space, if you're looking for a really experienced NFT backend dev, they're going to be insanely expensive right now. So agreeing to kind of work with someone that has never worked on an NFT collection is a really great kind of way to partner with a dev for less money. Another thing I did was to purchase an NFT to really understand how the dynamic works of spending ETH and spending crypto, buying NFTs, what community looks like. So again, if you can afford to buy an NFT, maybe find one that's reasonable. I think that's a really great way to understand how people are going to be investing in your collection. So buy an affordable NFT, maybe start talking with a developer or not using one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that getting resources where it may not be your strong suit,
Right.
understanding where your limitations are. I mean, I think this can go for any space, right? And spending a little bit of money, investing, and then finding the resources to help support you in whatever kind of endeavor you're doing, I think is super important. But what about the aspect of, you did sell out, 2 months, that wasn't immediate, but you sold out very quickly. What, how would you suggest that, or what advice would you give for others who are looking to like gain that same amount of momentum and visibility to ensure that they could do the same?
Yeah, so the reason why I said the 2-month thing was because when I launched the collection, it felt like everyone was selling out overnight, and so I was sorry, I was a little bit disappointed when I didn't sell out overnight. And I think, as it turns out, I built a really loyal following by taking time, by building my audience. So not doing giveaways, I think that's kind of can be a red flag in the space. People think that you need to sell out overnight, and you definitely don't. So a place to start with gaining a following is Twitter and Discord. I have been on Instagram and really used that to monetize my artwork for 7 years. I hadn't been on Twitter in about 5 years. But it's really important. That's where you need to be. So I would start with reactivating your old Twitter account or getting a new one. And following kind of the influencers in the NFT space, and then also checking out Discord, which is a platform for communication. It's kind of like a chat room. So downloading those 2 apps ASAP.
So, I mean, this is true, like diversification of your platforms. Start up your old Twitter.
Yeah.
That's a good one. But like, let's talk about you have celebrities who own your NFTs, right? There's Reese Witherspoon, Snoop Dogg, Brooklyn Beckham, Eva Longoria, Post Malone. I mean, that's incredible. How did you get celebrity attention for the work that you were doing?
I think there's a really cool opportunity to kind of, I think I came from a unique angle, which was I was an established artist creating an NFT collection versus a mysterious person with an avatar building an NFT collection. And so I really own this narrative that I have been an artist for 7 years. Buy my collection for the art. I'm not promising anything crazy, which a lot of NFTs kind of do. It's like, if you buy my NFT, I'm going to give you a concert ticket to a band that doesn't exist yet. Like, people are making up crazy things. So just really being authentic. I mean, that sounds really easy, but it's true. And kind of like owning your narrative and finding your niche. Like, mine was fashion illustration, so my NFTs are fashion forward, and really, I think, stood out upon a lot of kind of like apes, as people would say,
Sure.
or more boyish avatars. I think I really stuck to what I'm known for.
Do you think that those people found your work through your Discord or Instagram? Where were they actually like seeing the work to then maybe purchase the NFT?
I went ham on Twitter, I would say.
Okay, it was all Twitter.
Yeah, so I was tagging the same way I kind of started my drawing career on Instagram, by tagging celebrities. I was tagging celebrities on Twitter, which is kind of a long shot, and then also engaging in other projects that I knew that these celebrities owned, so that it kind of like formed friendships with other collections. There's something called alpha in like Discord and NFT collectors talk about, which is like giving kind of secret, important intel to your community. So I would hang out in those kind of channels of Twitter and Discord. And so I think it's really important to kind of form relationships with other high-end collections, because you will share the same audience.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in some ways, it's social media 101, right? It's like,
Exactly.
Be social, connect with other people who have similar interests, and just like be visible. So yeah, okay, great. So switching gears a little bit, I don't know if any of you remember last October, there was an outage of about 6 or 7 hours on Instagram and Facebook. And I think for some people that was like really a wake-up call, if we hadn't had it already, that we can't necessarily depend on one place for our audiences to live. One, we don't really have control. We all know that from the algorithm. If the platform ever goes down, what do we do? So Aisha, question for you. You noted in your introduction the various places where you have established your brand and where you've built audiences. That includes Instagram and YouTube, your podcast, Rewritten. You also have an email newsletter, I believe, and website. You organize events, so all sorts of things. When it comes to sort of having a digital footprint that you monetize, how did you decide, when or what platforms to venture into and what you need to take on? And how wide of a net would you maybe encourage other people to sort of invest in to maximize their brand equity and value?
Yeah, as you were going, I was like, oh yeah, I do have that too. And that
Right, oh yeah, that thing too. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, I do want to start by saying that this wasn't something that I did overnight. I did come out the gate and have a YouTube channel and a podcast and a newsletter. I had to take really intentional steps along the way. I started out with a blog. I had Instagram, of course, but I was using that for personal reasons. And then I bought a domain name, started with my blog, and from there started to promote my blog on Instagram. And as I was gaining some traction on Instagram, I happened to, you can't tell right now, but my hair is natural, and it's like usually in a big fro. And so I documented that journey on YouTube. So that kind of helped me to segue into YouTube as well. And from there, I was working in tandem with YouTube and Instagram, and then eventually a podcast was just the next thing that I had my sights set on. I think a lot of times us as creators, we think the big goal is to get a lot of followers and a lot of clout on one social media platform or two, when in fact, the goal should always be to get off of social media, to be able to build a career that surpasses social media. And I think that's something that has always been the foundation for me. Knowing that, yes, I'm going to use these platforms, but I want them to help me to reach a larger goal. And I think that can help you to be more authentic in the way that you're sharing on social media. It's not like the end all be all if you don't get as many likes or if your followers kind of go down, because you know that you're building a true you're building a true tribe and community that will eventually continue to go with you to new heights. So I think it's really, really important. And with that outage, I didn't really feel it as much because I was like, well, I do have these other owned platforms. And also, working with brands directly as creators, sometimes we feel that we can only create content that goes on our platforms, but sometimes there are brands that want to work with you and just use your content. So you're truly being a content creator. So I definitely urge people to think outside of the box, with regards to like what ways in which they can monetize and how they can really extend their talents in numerous areas.
Yeah, I think that content creation piece is interesting, and something that I think a lot about as a creator is sort of like if I'm having a conversation with a brand and there's not really a good fit, or maybe the budget isn't right for, say like an Instagram post, that gives me then the opportunity to say, well, I have this newsletter and here's the audience there. Would you be interested? That rate is really appropriate for this newsletter, and I think that would be a good fit. So you can also sort of, you can still capture that revenue in a different medium, a different platform, if it's maybe not right for a specific one. But you talked a lot, Aisha, about like making sure that I love that what you said about your goal is to get off social media. And if you're really driving back to your own channels and the way that you're connecting directly to your audience, what are some ways that you are approaching that? How do you actually get your audience to kind of come back to you, to your sort of like primary channels? Maybe it's your website, maybe it's your shop.
Yeah, I think consistency is huge because people have to see. Repetition is so important. You can't just pop your blog's link on your page once and expect people to go and visit it all the time. So you have to constantly go back, remind them that you do have this other platform, especially because we're all gaining new followers on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So there are fresh eyes on your page constantly. So you want to keep reintroducing yourself and letting people know what you have to offer. Also, I like to do a lot of teasers. So if I have a YouTube video that has come out, I'll do like a small snippet of the YouTube video, probably putting in the best parts of the video in the snippet on Instagram. So it really entices people to go and check it out and go onto that platform. Same with my blog and my podcast. I'm making sure that I'm putting out some content that they can see and sample, and then from there decide to go to the other place. And also what's really important is making sure that you have something different on each of these platforms, because I'm surprisingly not on like TikTok just yet. And I was like trying to just repurpose content, and I realized that wasn't working. You have to have something different that's really going to draw your audience. Like, why would I leave your Instagram when I can see all of your reels here? So you have to think about, okay, what is this platform? How can I, what can I showcase about myself on this particular platform that's different from another one? So I think that has been really helpful as well, because my audience knows, okay, well, if she's not going to post it here, I'm going to get to see something like deeper into her life on her YouTube channel, or I'm going to get some really inspirational messages from her podcast, or in her newsletter, she's going to be in my inbox. And also, newsletters are so important. I know it might seem antiquated to have like email lists, but that is the best way to contact someone, because you're going directly into their inbox. It's very personal, and people who sign up for those, they truly are interested and invested in what it is you have to share.
Yeah, and it's a channel that you own, right?
Exactly.
And I like what you said also earlier about when you started. It sounded like when you started YouTube, you were like, I need to share my hair journey, and this is the place to do it. So kind of to your point about using the platforms in a very specific way, using them for the content that makes sense for them. It's sort of like you couldn't do that any other way. It was like that was the platform that you needed to use for it. And I think that totally makes sense in terms of, I actually love that you're like, I'm not on TikTok yet because I haven't like found, that for myself. And I guess another question for you is sort of like, are there other places that you feel like are sort of like hyped, or other types of, monetization opportunities that you feel like are maybe hyped that you haven't, you don't personally love, or you haven't sort of tiptoed into? One thing that I wanted to maybe focus on specifically, or maybe ask your opinion about too, is this sort of, subscription model. I know that Instagram recently, Aliza mentioned it earlier, has a subscription model. Patreon is huge. In fact, I have a little stat here that Patreon's creator census, which was released in May, surveyed over 13,000 creators and revealed that on average, about 40% make their income from the membership platform subscription service, which is either a lot if you're thinking about overall creators or like not a lot if you're thinking about specific to Patreon. So I think that's interesting. Have you experimented with paid subscriptions? Are there any other services or types of revenue generating opportunities that you think are interesting or overhyped?
I do think the subscription model is good, but I'm just a little concerned about it coming straight from the social media platforms, because it's I actually was having a conversation with a friend who has a really, really loyal audience, and she was thinking about doing her own subscription service and creating her own platform in which her audience can subscribe and get exclusive content. And this was before we heard that Instagram was doing it, and a few other platforms were doing it. I think it's very smart, but I would try to maybe build my own platform that people can subscribe to before diving into the Instagram subscription service, because we see how they're suppressing views and this and that. Who's to say what they're going to do when it comes to having your subscribers? So I think it would be smarter to maybe try having your own, building that platform and doing it that way. Like bonuses, Reels bonuses, I've turned those off, because I mean, you can get paid X amount for a Reel, and the bonus you'll get like what, 5 cents? So so that for me is like pretty overhyped. I've heard some things about the TikTok program in which they're not getting paid well enough. But I have heard amazing things about Pinterest. Now that is another platform that I'm like dabbling in as well. And I've realized that it's more about like how-tos and inspiration posts. So something that I kind of worked into my Q3 plan, that I'm going to focus a lot on creating a bigger audience on Pinterest. So it's not overhyped, because I've heard like the girls there are making money on Pinterest. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, that one I've heard is actually pretty lucrative.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I think just such a great point about it's ultimately about taking control and not letting the platform have all of the control, which is so easy to do because they are powerful and we do rely on them. But what other ways can we kind of take back the control? So Tiffany, I have some questions for you. I know that you have been very active in this sort of live stream space, so I kind of want to talk on that as another revenue generating opportunity. So live stream shopping is projected to take on to reach 480 billion in China. But the U.S. is a little bit further behind. We're only reaching about 11 billion in the United States, according to Foresight Research. So while we're just catching up, it does exist, and influencers are a huge part of the strategy for many brands when it comes to live stream shopping. So, like you said, you're on the pulse of fashion trends. This is the gateway that you love sort of playing in. You've been featured in Elle, In Style, Refinery 29. And I know that you specifically have worked a lot with Target Live. So I would love to just know about your experience. What is that like, and how has that been for you?
I mean, it's Target, right? Like, it's just the brand that tells you what you need to buy. You go in for deodorant and you come out with an ottoman and a throw pillow, right? So first of all, it was just like a dream partnership. And then the other amazing part of it is you add in the live shopping experience. So I know my audience, they come for me a lot because I will talk about things and everything's not always available, right? And so to do live shopping, everything's in stock, right? And so the technology that Target used, and I actually was at a conference yesterday, it's called Bamboozer. And so Target had their own live format on Target.com. So they didn't go through like Instagram, TikTok, or all the others. So kind of like taking ownership of their space, right? And the really interesting thing, and I thought it was kind of groundbreaking, and Bamboozer allows you to not only shop live, but they have this kind of like picture-in-picture capability where you can click the image and shop right away. Like the tab opens as I'm talking to you and showing, a product. You can click it, add to cart, and then come back to the live. So I thought that was really like mind-blowing, right?
Amazing.
Because you're getting the people the product when they want it right now, and it's in stock. So like, check out right now. So that was my experience. It was really cool and really a great thing to offer for my audience.
Yeah. Thinking a little bit more about like your audience as well. How has live shopping allowed you to kind of like bolster, engage further with your audience? What has that experience been like?
Okay, so I never have told the story of how I even got to the Target shopping experience, because I didn't pitch or anything like that. It just kind of came to me. So it started from an H&M haul, and now we're here, right? So I had a partnership with H&M, 1-year partnership, and in that partnership, I was contracted to do like Instagram in-feed posts, Instagram stories, and then I would do the occasional reel on my own, right? And someone suggested, they were like, oh, you should do a haul with the stuff that you've been given. I was like, I'm already doing an in-feed, Instagram stories, and a reel. Like, I need to do another thing to
Are you talking about like a YouTube haul or like a...
No, like, well, I could have done it anywhere, but I did it on Instagram.
Okay.
First, I featured it on TikTok, and then it didn't do really well because I'm not super huge on TikTok yet. But I put it on TikTok, and taking a step back, I didn't even love it. I put this video together, and I'm like, it's whatever. I didn't do any tricks. I didn't have the pants like magically appear or whatever. I was just like, here's the outfit. Here's how I styled it. Here's this bag. Here's how I styled it. And it bombed on TikTok. I don't want to say bombed. It just did okay on TikTok. Then I was like, all right, let's try it on Reels. Let's try it on, not Reels, but on Instagram video, because it was longer than 60 seconds. It took off. Like, my audience was engaged. Affiliate marketing, it was one of my highest affiliate marketing posts in terms of generating revenue. So this was something I wasn't even going to put out. I thought it was trash. You can go look at my site. It's the latest video that I have. It's 2 minutes. I usually work with Karsten here, or I have another creator that I work with. And it was just me and my tripod. But anyway, I ended up putting out the content because it was something to serve my audience, right? Because they come for me, they're like, you post these things that are not available, or I try to give similar products. But I knew with the H&M materials that they were available right now to shop, and I didn't love the video, but I ended up putting it out anyway. So that's just my message for creators in the building. Even if you don't love it, even if it isn't perfect, if it serves your audience, I still think it's valuable to put out. And that was the lesson that it taught me. And then the next day, Target slid in my inbox and was like, we saw what you did for H&M. Can you come do it for us? So it just became like the gift that keeps on giving. And y'all, I wasn't even going to post it, right? So in terms of servicing my community, that's really where it started. It was because of my community saying to me, we want to see how you shop. We want to see things that are currently available. We love how you style things. I did it in H&M haul, and now I'm doing it with Target live shopping. So they're able to see kind of like my vantage view on how I style things. It's a great price point, like $50 or $35 or less. They're like, we're going to buy this whole thing that you're talking about, right? So it was definitely coming from servicing my community is how I even got the partnership.
Cool. That's amazing. Yeah. What a great story.
Thank you.
Yeah. Question about the revenue opportunities. I'm assuming that, or I guess I don't really know. This is not a space that I've really worked in too much. Obviously, share as much as you or as little as you want. Yeah. There's a revenue opportunity with just sort of appearing. What does that look like? Are there sort of fees for just appearing? And then what are like the affiliate, the affiliate sales kind of fees look like? Does that where does the revenue come from? What kind of plays a larger role? What are you thinking about in terms of where the revenue opportunities are for live shopping?
Yeah, I mean, I just have the Target experience, and so I'll just be transparent in that. So there was a flat fee established for just not just. I hate to sound like just because it can look very simple, but baby, it was a full production.
Yeah.
Okay. There were 26 people on my call. Every 2 or 3 days we had a call, right? So they paid for my time to have the meetings. I have been to every Target between here and Brooklyn. Literally, I mean, I'm in Brooklyn, so from here to Harlem or the Bronx, I went in store to shop. So to account for the time to get the items and have the meetings and to come to a mutually beneficial show, and I thought what was really interesting too is Target was just like, yeah, just talk about whatever you want. Come again? It was overwhelming, but I thought that was a great approach, right? When you give creatives creative freedom, I was able to come up with something for the show that I was authentically excited about. The energy, it was an energy transfer that happened, and then my audience, then bought. So flat fee to account for all this time. You want to make sure you're accounting for all the time that you're investing or to do and produce the show. And then, of course, there was the affiliate marketing part of it, too. So Target has their own affiliate program. So, we know about like Reward Style and Shop Style and all those. But Target's really like, we just want to own everything. They are not outsourcing anything to the social media platform. So to your point, they are literally like taking ownership of everything. So that's kind of the two-prong approach for this particular partnership. I was trying to think of other ways you would make money, but those were the big ones, the flat fee and then the affiliate marketing piece. And then I would also create, just kind of on my own, I created another reel and then pointed back to the affiliate, like let's keep buying. It's still available.
Yeah, so you have the affiliate, essentially the affiliate link. When you're selling on live, you get an affiliate commission. You get a commission on those sales, and then you're also taking that same product, linking back to it later, and continuing to kind of like reap that revenue and commission.
Yeah. So I'm literally not getting paid by Bamboozer, but it was such a cool platform because within that technology, like you can do the picture-in-picture during the live stream, so that it was a picture that linked to Target with the affiliate already associated with it. So it wasn't like there was extra steps on the back end, but once the live was already set up, it was already like click and buy, Target gets something, I get something, we're all happy.
Right, and it makes so much sense for that to all happen within the same ecosystem.
Oh
so
God.
It's really turnkey.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, we don't have too much time, but I know we have time for a few questions. So I want to go ahead and open it up.
My question's for Tiffany. When did you realize that your audience translated into big conversion? Because I feel like it's really difficult to find creators that can actually convert and or put in the effort to make sure that conversion, translates well for them. And just hearing you fascinate me in so many ways. I'm just trying to understand, how does a chemical engineer convert?
I know, right? How did I even get here? No, I always, I say I have a real audience that does real things and gets real results because I've tried different, my own things in the past. Like I had a lipstick collaboration. I used to sell turbans. So I saw through those, my own side projects that I had audience, again, it was community service based because these are things that my audience asked of me. So I'm paying attention to my audience. So I'm like, okay, y'all want these turbans? Y'all want lipstick? I'm gonna give these to you, and they show up for me. So I have never bought a member. I have never done a giveaway. So I have real people, right? And so I was able to see that my audience will move with me through the things that I've done in the past.
Thank you all so much for being here this evening. We really appreciate it. And I hope to see you again soon.
Creators with Influence is produced by the